and you're listening to Season 3, Episode 1 of Paradise Preview. Eventually, we're back. And before we get into this week's episode, I'm just going to tell you about the format changes of the show. Before, it was just me and Graham Wilson every week, and basically talk about the tactical side of Celtic over about 50 minutes. But we're shaking it up a little bit this season. Instead of just me and Graham, basically it's going to be me and a different guest every week. Well, that's what we're aiming for, a different guest every week. And this week, I'm delighted to be joined by the Green and White writer, Paul Larkin. How are you?
Very well, Josh. How are you?
I'm good. So obviously, the SPL season is just about to start, and we're coming up against Ross County. So, Paul, what's your general thoughts on the season so far, and then your thoughts on going into this game?
Well, I mean, I think the pre-season's been a wee bit lethargic. Obviously we've won the 3 games that were competitive, which is good. We've not conceded a goal in any of them either, which is also good. But I don't think I don't think we're up to speed yet. I think you saw in the Elfsborg game that there's quite a few players who aren't quite at it, and that could be a number of reasons. It could be fitness, it could be attitude, it could be their head perhaps not being there, as we've seen with a couple of players. So in terms of the actual game on Saturday, I think it'll be a hard game, and I think that my real concern about it is the fact that our pre-season's been about gearing towards the Champions League. Ross County's pre-season's been about gearing towards playing at Celtic Park. So I think they'll be well organised. I think they'll be hard to beat. I think they'll come with a game plan, and like Elfsborg did, I think they'll try and frustrate us.
Yeah, Ross County last season they've not got the best players, obviously, but they're an organised team. And last season we played them in the second game of the SPL season.
Yeah.
That was away from home, but really it was quite a tough game, and it ended in a 1-1 draw. Even though we're doing quite well in Europe at the time, and he managed to do well against like Inter Milan and Real Madrid.
Yeah.
Yeah, on this season, it's been a bit lethargic here and there, but obviously that's sort of to be expected in pre-season. We've kind of been in like full training for about a month now, so we are about a week ahead in terms of fitness and how ready we are compared to last season's SPL start. I think actually going into this game, I think in terms of fitness and how sharp we are, I think we'll probably be ahead of Ross County for that fact that we've been in training for probably a few weeks ahead of them.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I know Richard Britton got sent off for Ross County in a pre-season game, and I think there was talk about him being suspended for the game on Saturday. I'm not quite sure if he is or no, but he's had a kind of strange up and down few months where he signs a pre-contract with St Johnstone and then decides he doesn't want to go, then he gets a bad injury and then suddenly he's back for pre-season when they had been talking about him being out for a long time. I think Derek Adams is a decent manager. I wouldn't say good manager, because I do think he's got a tendency to kind of blame everybody else every time Ross County get beat. On the upside of that, I mean, as you mentioned, Josh, last season we were playing well in Europe at the time, and we were winning games, and we were going through and past teams to get into the Champions League. Then we came against Aberdeen first game of the season, and we only won 1-0 with a late Chris Commons goal, which of course was kind of spilled into the net by Jamie Langfield. So that's my hand on heart, I would probably say, well, I'm kind of expecting a wee bit of that on Saturday. But then again, the pressures of Europe, I mean, there's immense pressure on the team on Wednesday, certainly, and we all know that. And I don't think people were very enamoured by our performance, but I'll tell you, to play that bad, and I thought we did play really bad on Wednesday, and to keep a clean sheet and to get a goal, with another week under our belts before we go to Sweden next week, then I'm reasonably happy with that. So with the shackles of that kind of off us for this game, who knows? They might just go out and play. I mean, is there any players that you'll be looking for to kind of take the lead on Saturday?
Well, obviously recently, our star players recently has been Samaras and Chris Commons. As you said before, in Elfsborg, there was quite a few players that are kind of slacking a little bit. I guess that was to be expected as well. Elfsborg, in terms of fitness, they are generally quite ahead of us because they're in the middle of their season. But another thing that I think is going to be very important for this game is the fact that we've been playing these big Champions League games and friendlies and now it's kind of just this SPL game against Ross County at home, back in the usual thing.
Mm-hmm.
And Ross County are going to be up for this game definitely, but uh, we definitely have to get ourselves mentally ready for this game as well, and not sort of slack off a little bit just because it's an SPL game and not a Champions League game.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting that here we are at the start of the SPFL season, and we've already played about 9 or 10 games already. So you kind of feel like you've been through the mill already. But I think that it's a special occasion. I actually think that no enough is made of these kind of games. It's opening day and it's Flag Day as well. Like
Mm-hmm.
last season, and we've got a special guest. Obviously, it's going to be unfurling the flag, Mr. John Keane, who put £1 million doing for Celtic in 1994 when others was just talking about. So that in itself is a special occasion. Added to the fact that the game's a 5:15 kickoff, whereas I think that there's been a lot of kind of moaning and groaning about that, and understandably so, particularly for fans in Ireland and England and Wales and stuff like that. But I think we both know that what that will do is kind of add to the atmosphere slightly, primarily because people will be in the pub all day drinking. Not myself, I have to say, because I'm a clean living chap these days, unlike you, Josh. But it's a game I'm looking forward to. I mean, it's good to get the football season started, and obviously we'll be hoping for 3 points, and it would be good to see a couple of players stepping up. I think it's clear that Amido Baldi's already under pressure. They've kind of been discontent for the stands. And we're playing against Ellsberg there, and we score a goal, and we probably need another one. And then he just to come on, and in fact Charlie Mulgrew comes on, and I'm sure that kind of blunted his confidence a wee bit. Will we see Big Duck, the new guy? Who knows? He's getting talked up his pace and direct and all that kind of thing. And I would suggest we perhaps need that, because I feel that quite often we get really well up until the final third, and then we slow it down. We go to side and back to front, and it just sometimes you just need a wee bit of directness. So I'd like to see him play. Unfortunately, everybody we seem to sign seems to pick up an injury and signing a contract. So who knows?
Yeah. So on that same sort of topic, what's your kind of predicted lineup going into this game?
Well, I mean, I think the defence picks itself in a minute. Perhaps I think the only change might be Adam Matthews might get a run out instead of Lustig. Lustig's played a lot of football recently. Matthews is kind of just coming back into it. He might drop his Zagiri as well and put Mulgrew in the other game or I don't know. I would suggest the centre halves will stay the same. The goalkeeper will certainly stay the same. Midfield, I'd really hope to see Joe Ledley. I'd love to see him get 90 minutes under his belt for Sweden. I have to say, it would have to be at the expense of your mate for Boness. I mean, Biram Kayal. Scott Brown, I don't think has hit the ground running yet this season. Certainly, Chris Collins will be playing. I would probably think James Forrest will be playing unless Big Duck or Derek, as they seem to be calling him these days, unless he's fit. And up front, it's going to be Samaras and Stokes again, primarily because I think he doesn't trust Mino Baldi yet. He seems to have kind of fallen out with Tony Watt. And, it's really all we've got. Having said that, I don't know about you, Josh, but I'd be a wee bit apprehensive about playing Samaras tomorrow, because he really needs to play on Wednesday.
Yeah, that's a good thing to consider. In terms of your lineup, yeah, I definitely agree in parts. Shaking up the fullbacks, that'd be interesting, because obviously Adam Matthews hasn't got much game time, and neither has Charlie Mulgrew, really. I think Adam Matthews and Mulgrew at the fullback positions would be good. Centre back, Effie and Kevin Wilson. Or you could put Mike Colo in there for Effie, depending on what Neil Lennon thinks. On the right, I think it's just got to be James Forrest at the moment, and in the middle, Scott Brown and Joe Ledley. Baron Kyle definitely didn't have a good game in midweek, where Joe Ledley came on, he looked good. The other thing I'd maybe put Kyle ahead of Ledley is fitness and injury prevention and so on. Then on the left, I don't think Derek will get a start, but I think he could come on as a sub, maybe about 6 minutes, 70 minutes. So I'll probably see like kind of Chris Commons there or Samaras. And then up front, you could start Amido Balde, and if that's his first SPL game and he gets a goal in his debut and has a good game, that's just going to kickstart his season. But if he has a bad game and it's Ross County are an organised team, and they'll probably just want to, just kick his legs away every time he gets the ball. So it will be a hard game. Then that could definitely set him back. So I probably agree with you. Probably Samaras and Stokes up front.
I mean, the thing with Amido Balde, and I don't know what your take on this is, or strikers in general, is look, you're never going to give them confidence no playing them, right? American sports are always the same with this. If guys are off form or guys aren't doing it from 1 week to the next or 1 day to the next, the coaches very rarely say, "Oh, you know what the best thing to do is? Let's put them on the bench. Let's put them in here. Let's put them in there." They always say, big guys say, "Right, let's go for it. Let's just play your way out of this." And Amido Balde could certainly. I mean, who knows? His career might just take off if he scores a couple of goals. And what I'm looking forward to is playing a kind of lesser a team. I mean, I think Ross County they're going to sit in, they're going to try and frustrate and all that kind of thing. And kind of touch on that Elfsborg game again next week. I think that could be the downfall of Elfsborg is that they obviously sat in most of the game last week, and therefore when they come out against us, that we should be able to exploit them. That might not happen with Ross County. So what you've got to do, I think, is what the Celtic of old used to do, was just go out and try and annihilate them in the first 20 minutes. Because if you can get that early goal, then it can open the floodgates, and of course they then have to step out. I mean, that should be a priority, and I think that I didn't see any reason why we couldn't have Stokes, Balde, and Samaras on the park at the same time. Because I don't think you're going to need 4 midfielders. Because you'll probably have 5 Ross County midfielders, yes. And I felt that the game you mentioned last season when we drew 1-1, Common scored in the last minute, that was probably our downfall as they outnumbered us in midfield. But it's Celtic Park, and so I think you can have the anchoring of Brown and Ledley with Commons on one wing and Forrest on the other, or even Samaras or whatever one it is, stretching them. Then by all means have Balde and Stokes, going up front. But time will tell. But I certainly don't think you'll see the team tomorrow or big that you would on Wednesday, and therefore that's why I think there's a chance Balde. I mean, it's a shame. I don't know if you read it today, Josh, that Virgil van Dijk says he's probably out for another 2 or 3 weeks, which kind of makes it like about 4 or 5 weeks that he'll have been out, and that's kind of worrying. I always think before somebody's really kicked the ball.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, well, Amido Balde, it's 50-50. You can protect them and try to put them in the perfect game to get off to a good start, or you can just fling them in at the deep end. And maybe this Ross County game is the game to just fling them in at the deep end. I think the main problem with him so far has been that he doesn't like to play with his back to goal. Against Ross County, who will probably just want to sit back and just allow Celtic to play it wide. This could be a good game for him.
Yeah, I mean, I think that in any kind of situation like this, then you have to stretch the game as much as possible. I didn't, I would, if I was a manager, I'd be saying to players, whether it's Samaras or Commons and Forrest on the other side, don't come inside all the time. Keep going wide. Keep going past your man. Keep having to stretch him. Keep having to get him to double up on you, and then that will allow the space in the middle of the last third for somebody like Balde to try and exploit perhaps Stokes. I mean, Stokes, I like Stokes, but there's 2 main flaws in Stokes' game for me. The first one is he wants far too much time on the ball, which he didn't get at Champions League level, and that's and in previous games against Rangers Old Co. And I think that's why he never played mostly in them. And the other one is he's got a tendency to drift outside the box all the time, which, for a guy with his goal scoring record, he shouldn't be in. He should be in there for the chances and all that, And until we sign the replacement for Gary Hooper, he's going to have to be more disciplined with that.
Yeah, definitely. So now we've got the team formations out the way and our thoughts about the upcoming game and the season so far. What's your score predictions?
I am going to say 2-0 Celtic, and it'll be a goal in the first half and a goal in the second half with nothing really. We are kind of tight struggle, I would suggest.
Yeah, I think it'll be a tight struggle as well, but I'd like to see the team go out there and get a couple of goals or more. So I'm going to say 3-1.
Either or would do me.
Yep. So this has been the first season of the first episode of season 3 of Paradise Preview. And this episode I've been joined by Paul Larkin. Just before we sign off, you got anything to say, Paul?
Yes, down with Graham Wilson.
Down with Graham Wilson. Hail, hail, and keep the faith.